One of the show's EPs, showrunners, and writers who brought this series to the screen. He's written for films like The Lost City and 22 Jump Street, and you should really check out his directorial debut, Shiver Lake. Please welcome Oren Uziel. Thank you so much for being here. Congratulations on what could have been terrible. There's so many ways to
We're sure it's not.
Yes, we're definite. Whenever I have someone who's accomplished a show, I actually love to go back to the beginning and ask where it all began. What was your first job in this business? You know, did you start as a set PA? Were you in the William Morris mailroom? All those cliches?
No, none of the above. I was a lawyer who quit. Yeah, get out early and young.
The world needs more lawyers.
No, I quit being a lawyer and I started writing, and I wrote a screenplay that was Shimmer Lake, which I eventually directed, but I mailed it off to the Austin Film Festival screenwriting competition, and I won an award there. And then I met a woman at the bar that night who had recently had her script rejected by a manager and said, why don't we just email her? And she's been my manager for 17 years.
That's so cool.
And then my first job was a job I got hired to write Mortal Kombat. And then I said, is this real? And my rep said, this is real, you can tell your friends. I told my friends, I told my family, and then the head of the studio and the guy who hired me got fired. So then I wrote a short film for the guy who got fired as the director. He made that, it went viral. It became a web series, I didn't work on that, and eventually became a movie, which I did work on, but the version I got made was 10 years after that.
Wow, so you have experience with these things that take place in movies, films, comic books, all kinds of genres. This is not a new world for you.
No, I much to my representative's chagrin, I really like to write in as many different genres as I can, so it was always like, just do this one thing, you'll get to the top of the list in that one thing. I was like, no, what if I did all the things and got to the bottom of everything?
Jack of all trades, yeah. I mean, everyone has a history with the spider world. When did you first discover SPIDER-NOIR, and what was your reaction? Because I remember thinking it makes so much sense to put, this character into a hard-boiled detective world.
I discovered it along with a lot of other people when I watched the Spider-Verse movie, because I just was unaware, and I was a huge film noir fan, so when I watched that movie, I was immediately drawn to Nick Cage voicing the character, and I just thought it was a ton of fun. I had no inkling or idea that I would ever end up working specifically on that character, and again, with Nick, so I was just a fan.
Were you like me in that you thought they made it up for the movie? You didn't realize there actually was a history?
I mean, I kind of got an idea that there was a history once I realized there was a noir and a spider ham and all these other things. And I know Phil and Chris well enough to know they know what they're doing. They're holding these together.
And I know this is not necessarily a direct descendant of that, but obviously it shares the Nicolas Cage DNA and the EPs, Phil Lord and Chris Miller, and Amy Pascal. What were some of the early discussions you had with what you wanted to do with this show for it to stand apart?
I mean, the real first and biggest conversation that we had about it was they talked to me about doing Spider-Verse stuff before, and I love Spider-Man, but I am no longer a high school kid. And I just said to them, like, listen, is there any way we can make this character a little older? Because I can relate a little more to a guy who's kind of been through it, and maybe gotten kicked in the teeth or punched in the face a bunch of times and just keeps coming. And they were like, that's great, because Amy's doing Spider-Man movies, they're doing Spider-Verse movies with Miles Morales, so it was just a new lane for them and for me, and from there it was kind of off the races.
And what were some of the classic inspirations for the look and the feel and the sound of this?
I mean, it was very much start with noir and take Spider-Man and put him into that world. So one of the things we talked about a lot was, what if you made a Humphrey Bogart movie where Bogart just happened to be Spider-Man? So it was Maltese Falcon, it was Third Man, it was Night of the Hunter. Our production office was sort of lined with photographs and imagery from those old noirs, and just German expressionism, hard lighting, really long shadows, and so that aesthetic was first and foremost what we started.
I heard Nicolas Cage in an interview say that this performance of his is 70% Humphrey Bogart and 30% Bugs Bunny. Was that on your recommendation, or did you show up at that?
You don't tell me.
Yeah.
That was Nick. But but we did, like, from the start, we kind of had a million conversations about what the character could and should be. And, you know, he doesn't want to do, neither of us want to do anything that people have done before. And it's a waste of Nick's, like bottomless talent to have him do something that's been done before. So even though he's doing a version of Bogart at times, he's also doing Peter Lorre and Edward G. Robinson and James Cagney. And,
I can't believe that, I'm so sorry. That was telling me I need to wake up and get to this Q&A.
But he's gonna infuse it with sort of a manic energy, and also infuse it with the DNA of a spider. So at some point in the process of developing the character, it became clear that this guy, when what happened to him, became almost more spider than man, and he was almost cosplaying as Steve B, which is something we get to later in the series.
And well, again, was Ben Riley written with him in mind? Because, you know, like I said, it's part of the same DNA, but this is not a sequel to Spider-Verse.
It's not a sequel to Spider-Verse. I think I love that Spider-Verse character, but he's really kind of fun and goofy,
yes.
and it's great for like the 5.5 minutes of runtime of that movie. But for an 8-episode series, you have to do your own thing. So it was not written with that character in mind, but I always knew and hoped it could be Nick once it was going to be an older character. I mean, he's amazing. So
he's fantastic. Your whole cast is amazing. Like, I love Lamorne Morris and Lee Jun Lee is, you know, such a knockout in this role, and Jack Houston. Was Nick put in place first, and you sort of cast everyone around him?
Nick first. And then I remember saying things. This is my first TV show. It's his first TV show. And I remember they were like, "Well, who could play Silverman?" I said, "Well, it would be cool to get someone like Brendan Gleeson." Why don't we ask Brendan Gleeson? And so, can we do that? And then he said yes. It was like, "Well, what about Robbie Robertson?" I said, "Well, that should be Lamorne." Because like I just seen him. I know he's so funny from New Girl. I just seen him in Fargo, and he hadn't yet won an Emmy, so he was still humble. But he was the first person that I thought. It was just there. I couldn't believe that you asked the people they would do it.
I know, absolutely. I was afraid you were going to put out a casting call for a Brendan Gleeson type, because I've seen that happen. People will be like, "Wait, why did they just ask me?"
Yeah.
When you do cast Nicolas Cage, you know, how does his performance sort of shape the rest of the tone of the show, the atmosphere?
Well, I mean, he's in so much of the show, and the tone of the show is so specific. It's you're always kind of monitoring tone. We were there on set every day to make sure that you're never getting too big, too small. I mean, he's got room, I think, and all the characters have room with a television series to actually make them more three-dimensional and build them out. It's one of the big advantages of TV. And so for him, it was kind of to grow into, he gets sort of more heightened as the show goes on, because the stakes go up, and also he's just revealing a little bit more and more of himself and his real DNA. So it's just something you monitor at all times. Like, you know, you never want to be laughing kind of, I don't know, at him, and you always want to be able to take him seriously. And I think that goes across the board for all his actors. They're all people that you really care about, whether they're super-powered villains or the secretary in the office or a journalist. They're all people that go home at the end of the day and have to live their lives.
Is that Karen Rodriguez?
Yeah.
Janet?
Yeah.
I love her. Can we do a Janet spin-off?
Yeah, yes.
Because I mean, I think she's more us than anybody else.
She's the best. She's the heart and soul of the show. We met with, I saw like 700 actors. The casting director saw like 1,300. It was like that thing that I heard about stories. I was like, can't really be true, but it is true. She really popped on the page, and everyone was like, we love Janet, and they all had their own idea of what Janet should look like. And so it made it almost impossible to find the real Janet. And so we saw Karen, and she just, like I always said to her, like, your only job is to make sure everybody falls in love with you.
Yeah.
Like, it's so easy.
No pressure.
No pressure. But she kind of just walked on set, and it was like that. You can't help love Karen Rodriguez, the person, and then she brings that energy and brings that warmth to her relationship with Nick, which shines in her relationship with Ben and her relationship with Robbie too. It's just that you want to spend all day hanging out with those three.
Yeah, I always think that actors kind of get to know their roles better than anyone, you know, and then often bring things to it that you don't expect, which I'm certainly sure is the case with Nicolas Cage. But what about some of the other actors? Did they reveal parts of these characters maybe you didn't even see coming?
all of them. I think that's the beauty of it, is you're, as a writer, you write and you have a perfect idea of what you want it to be. And then once you cast, if you cast well, then it becomes some third thing. It's what they want to do, what you want to do, and it becomes a third thing that should and almost always is better. I mean, Silvermane is a Silvio Manfredi, he's an Italian character, and you cast Brendan Gleeson, and he becomes Irish with the thickest Irish accent.
Oh my God.
Subtitles sometimes needed.
I think he was actually
More Irish than he is in real life. Yes.
Like more Irish than he does in a Martin McDonagh movie.
Yeah. And same with Lamorne. Lamorne brought ideas and did some research, looked into a journalist named Ted Poston, who was I forget the term, but it was like the sort of the godfather of black letters, and he's creating a character that's richer and deeper than what you had in mind in the first place. And same with Karen, same with Jack, same with Lily, Abraham Papula, Andrew Caldwell, across the board.
Were you concerned at all about, making the show, make it appeal to fans possibly of the comics, but also, completely accessible to anybody who's coming at it new? But you were kind of new to it yourself, so maybe. I
just think the show should be accessible to anyone. And I came in with a really strong, stubborn philosophy that it's not. I think fans get insulted with fan service. They're fans because they love the character, and as long as you love the character, do what you want with it and honor and respect that character, and they'll love it, I think. And I felt the same way about noir. Like, I love film noir, but you're making your own thing. It's this collision of Spider-Man and film noir, and it's going to be its own identity. And as long as you are passionate about it and you care about it, I don't think fans need to see a checklist of things that he does. It'll feel pandering. It'll feel, it's insulting, right? That's my opinion. So just make it accessible. You don't have to, read an encyclopedia about Spider-Man or read an encyclopedia about film noir. It's just a show telling a story with these characters.
Did you still go back to the source material and get any inspiration from it?
Sure. I mean, I read the Noir comics. I watched. I love the Sam Raimi Spider-Man movies. I feel like that energy is. I don't know. I love it. And I spent my life watching film noir, so all those are just in my brain. So. And then Nick was the same way. So he loves comic books. He loves film noir. So every day he comes and say, this is gonna be Bogart from the Big Sleep. Put his hat up and we're just gonna be Peter Lorre's doing this thing. When we had a lunch at the smokehouse really early on in Burbank, and he just
Best cheeseburger in the world.
Best cheeseburger in the world. He launches into an entire interrogation scene as Edward G. Robinson and just does it from start to finish. Like everyone's just eating their lunch, like, oh, there's an occasion.
Fix that again.
Yeah.
Actually, you got me thinking, because we're at the American Cinema Attack. What was the last modern noir you saw that was good?
Modern noir. I mean, I see all of them. I saw Neil Jordan just did Marlowe. With Liam Neeson, but I like when I reference these noirs with everyone making the show, it was Third Man and Double Indemnity, but it's also loose. I have Casablanca as a big influence, but also His Girl Friday and Thin Man, but then up through Chinatown, LA Confidential, Nose Crossing. I love John Dahl movies like Last Seduction, but
that's the person that came to my mind.
yeah, so if you just tell a story about somebody in way over their head, I'm down.
You can also add should relate to that over if you want to. I love that you mentioned His Girl Friday, because I was just going to talk about how this show so perfectly captures, this moody genre, but it's also really, really funny and fun. How did you sort of strike that balance? I mean, I'm sure some of it is in the writing, but in the performances. Are you fine-tuning it all the way through everything?
Always. But I don't ever want to take myself too seriously, so I don't want to work on anything that takes itself too seriously, especially when you're going to spend, a year and a half in post editing it and doing VFX and sound mixes in color and black and white and holy shit. But yeah, His Girl Friday, the Thin Man, that tone, noir can be really funny. Double Indemnity is a funny movie. So I think that's an important part of the genre, and then also if you're making a Spider-Man show, Spider-Man is always funny too. So both genres allow room for comedy, and neither character, whether it's a Bogart type PI or Peter Parker Spider-Man, like, they're not taking themselves too seriously. That's part of the fun of it.
I also think it's just funny that double indemnity is Fred Murray.
Yeah.
You know, there's just something,
Yeah.
I don't know if that was meant to be funny at the time, if he was.
It's gotta be. It's Willy
Yeah.
Wilder is definitely funny. They're saying absurd things to each other about sex by way of talking about the speed limit.
You mentioned, doing it both in color, authentic black and white and true hue full color.
True hue, which is whatever. It's not true. It's a totally over the top saturated color. Not true hue. But okay. Rhymes.
What was the process about that, or the thinking behind doing that, and then sort of the process? It's not just simply like flipping a switch.
No, we always knew we were making it black and white for sure, and then the idea to make it color came in later, but still in prep, which is the only way that we were able to do that. And then it's, when you make a show in black and white, there are certain things that you end up doing that you can't have, red lipstick because it'll look black and it'll look strange, so it's often green lipstick. And the walls and the fabrics of the costumes might be a certain color to look perfect in black and white. When you're doing both, you have to find that sort of mid-ground where it's going to look good in color, but also in black and white. And we had cameras with specific LUTs, these lookup tables, it's technical, that would tell what you're recording and distribute it into a version that's black and white and one that's color. And every department head had a camera and would just test every piece of fabric, every color, paint, everything. So the DP, the costume designer, the production designer, all worked to make sure that we could get it within striking distance, so Pankaj, our amazing colorist, could then spend 9 months of his life making it work.
That is dedication. But you never shot a scene twice, like with one camera?
No, you never shoot twice. We tested early on when we tested on the Sony lot with different ideas of what the color might look like, and it evolved over time, and it stayed evolving for months and months, and then I was always pushing it to be as, I didn't want the color to just be color. We're gonna use black and white that was gonna be authentic to what the old movies look like. I wanted the color to look, more kind of saturated comic booky, almost like if you hand painted the black and white frames. And I pushed it so much that the skin tones often kind of people look like pumpkins. And then Sophia, one of the producers on the show, and Pankaj would then fight about trying to fine tune it. And I'd be like, you guys got this.
It's another 9 months. This is such a specific genre. How much does it help to be on these sets and have this lighting and this costuming really help, lock in the storytelling and the performances? Like, wearing, Nick Cage in that jacket, there's a certain way I think you have to walk and talk.
I think it helped the cast a lot. We tried to do as many things practically as we could, and those sets, when you're on them, when you're in Ben's apartment, you'll look over the wall and there's 9 layers of paint on there. I think Oren, the production designer, probably got paint from that era and aged it. It was just incredible, but there's no way to not feel transported. That when you're in that club, it's just everywhere you look, there's people dressed to the nines and there's smoke everywhere, and it's really transportive, and I think it helps with the performances, and it helps when you're sitting there looking at the monitors. You just feel like you're back 100 years ago.
Did a lot of costumes go missing on this set? Because I would have taken everything.
No, none of the costumes went missing, but 4 of the lamps in the outfit.
That's so random.
Yeah, well, no, it's not random. I took one.
You didn't just hear that. I actually am curious because, again, this is a very specific mood, but what was the atmosphere on set like? Because it's hard to make a show. This is very technical, very complicated. Also, in the Spider-Man universe.
I was there every single day. A lot of us were, and it's a lot of work, but we had a lot of fun. I think the best part of making the show is how close the crew got. We shot in LA.
Yeah.
It was a huge difference. Everybody became very much like a family, and it was a great experience making the show. We had a really good time. I think for some reason I feel compelled to say that I got mad once, but it was like a performative freak out because I was like angry with DP, who's amazing, and so I was like, I'm gonna be mad. And so I stormed off, and it was on the alcove set, which had the curtains open, which I didn't realize, and it was on this massive soundstage. So I'm storming off, and I had to storm off for like a full 5 minutes to storm off. And then I walk outside, and he's standing there, he's like, are you okay? I'm like, what?
Back at that point, you've forgotten what it was.
Yeah, of course, I was embarrassed.
What did end up, has anyone here, is anyone here seen this for the first time tonight, or more than I expected? Okay, cool. Well, we won't get into spoilers then. But what did end up being the most challenging part of making the series overall? If you could, address a specific scene or moment, or just an overall issue.
I mean, the most challenging thing was doing it color and black and white. That just is a complication that I wouldn't wish on my worst enemy. VFX that looks perfect and done, ready to lock in black and white, you then flip over to color and you're like, oh God. Like, that is not just a gray wall behind, it's hard. But I don't know, I don't think there was any particular scene. It was just managing the tone and making sure that the show could hit and survive the fact that we're doing romance and drama and comedy and melodrama and tension and mystery and action. It's a lot of stuff to jam into one show and just make sure that it keeps moving and it's pacey and fun. So it's just a lot to keep for everyone, all the cast, the crew, to keep it kind of making sure you're making one show all together.
By the way, was that your idea to do it in color and black and white?
No.
I was like, you can only blame yourself.
No, I think Cage. He had a conversation with the woman who ran Amazon at the time. There's a lot of conversations about it, but good ideas come from all over the place.
I mean, it is a great idea, but it's just like, I was thinking that, this egg in your study, right, somebody should have no way to blame, but you don't want to blame yourself, but no, you can blame Nick Cage.
But also I love it. I now that we're through it, I love watching both versions. Like that's a pitch to do watch both versions. But I do love them both because they're really very different and they give you a different vibe. When you're watching the black and white, it's a little moodier, it's a little darker. When you're watching the color version, it's just, you get a little more of that silliness and fun.
Yeah, my first round, I would kind of go based on my mood. I was like, I'm a little down, I want a little more of a pick-me-up, I'll do color. And I think it works.
Yeah. And there's some of the, like the romantic scenes later in the show in black and white. It's just like, it's really, I don't know, it blows you away.
Yeah.
It really feels like, it felt to us like we really did make an old Bogart movie.
I mentioned that this is the #1 series on Prime Video.
Woo!
And I thought I was going for it, going into it, but at the same time, you never know. Have you been surprised at the response? Because people, they really appreciate this show, they respect it as well as, just love watching it.
Extremely relieved at the response. You make something like this and it takes a very long time, such a large number of people all working together. You hope I hope on their behalf, I hope we make something good that they can be proud of. And I'm very, it's a heartwarming reception that it's getting, and I think people can kind of feel the passion that went into it. We care a lot about it, and so I'm relieved, not surprised, but relieved, I would say.
Was there a moment you knew you were safe? Like you opened up the internet at a certain point on premiere day and you were like, okay.
Yeah, when someone else opened up the internet and said you're safe.
Get back on the internet now.
Yeah.
No, it's funny, I was saying earlier, I read a review, a very positive review of the show, but it actually said the words like, I just don't know who's gonna watch this. And I was like, well, apparently everyone.
Yeah, I had that feeling too. Like I knew because I made things, my name is on things that I don't think are great. Or that I know is shit.
I'm curious what, because I love most of your stuff, so. I mean, you don't have to say it.
I'm getting the.
Don't say it. Don't say it.
It rhymes with overfilled marrow. But I can objectively look. I think I can objectively look at some of the stuff and know if it works or doesn't. So I felt like there will be people who love this show.
Yeah.
How many of them? But it turns out it feels like a lot of people, so I'm glad. And I did, you know, you want things, I did never intend it to be inaccessible. It is just, it's there for people to like, I don't know.
I mean, there's something for everyone, so I get it, but like, yeah, but am I surprised my 80-year-old mother likes it? Yes. She had to figure out Amazon Prime. No, she was so confused after watching the first one. She's like, I can't wait for the next ones, and I was like, they're all over now. She literally did not understand. We went through this with beef, but she still doesn't understand that all the episodes are out.
It's true, all you have to do is do nothing, and then it just starts playing. So like if you went to bed at night and you were watching it, just leave it playing. The longer it plays, the more likely season 2 happens.
Yeah. Is it, do you want to spend more time in this world?
Yeah, absolutely, yeah. But like, yes. I was just about to start negotiating with Amazon.
Right.
Here. Not that one.
Well, again, it is such a fantastic show. The good news is all the episodes are streaming on Prime Video both ways. So watch it again. Just let it run. As I said. Again, congratulations. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you for being a great audience.